No.
Yeah, sometimes I feel like the banter before the show was fun. I
Yeah.
might as well just go live 15 minutes early. How's it going?
Good, good. We were just talking about my LinkedIn photo,
Yeah,
and
sorry. I tend to waste
and
time chatting about
well, no,
photography
I
yet
mean,
again.
so I was starting to tell you where that photo was.
Right.
So I needed a photo for something.
Mhm.
Don't even remember what it was. It was probably about 15, 20 years ago. So this is a much younger me.
Right.
In case you couldn't tell.
Honestly, it wasn't that apparent. There's a little bit of gray in the beard now that I see, but that's about
Yeah,
the only
yeah.
difference.
So that was taken at the OpenText office in Hoofddorp in the Netherlands,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
I went in on a Saturday when I knew no one was going to be around,
Yeah.
and right at the entrance there's this big blue wall with the word OpenText or the logo type
Yeah.
OpenText, um, and I set up my lights and my camera on a tripod. I had my remote on my iPhone, so I could just like tap 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 to take
Yeah.
like 100 photos. Um, and it was a little bit weird because right outside the window,
Mhm.
if you look out the window, right that I guess was kind of behind me.
Well, I can sort of see
Um,
the reflection of the window in your eyes because I've got it like
oh,
full
really?
screen at this point in time. Yeah. I'm
So
fully zoomed.
so that window looks out at the L'Oreal Dutch headquarters.
Okay.
So this like fashion company, and
Yeah.
here's this geek taking photos of himself, flash going off in front of in front of them. So that was
It's
this is
interesting
my
because like
modeling.
now that I'm looking at your eyes, I don't see the flash. I don't see where
Hmm.
I see you've got an overhead light there, but yeah, the flash is well done. It's not too it doesn't look sourcey, I think is the term. Like it doesn't look like you're over flashed or anything.
There was a time. What was the guy's name? There was a Nikon, like a big Nikon focused photographer who did a
Mhm.
lot of flash stuff, and he had a series of books about doing flash photography.
Strobist guy?
It might
Not
have been Strobus, yeah.
not the Strobist? Okay.
Or no, no, it was actually before him. Before him. Um, uh, and um, and so I had. I mean, when I was on. So I think that photo would have been taken on the GH1.
Not Moose,
But
Moose,
huh?
whatever his last name. Not Moose, was it? Moose was
Oh,
the one I learned Flash from years ago.
yeah,
He
maybe.
used to write
No,
those
no,
like
he was
Magic
he
Lantern
was
guides
mostly
to Flash.
he was like a National Geographic kind of photographer.
Oh.
Um, and
I know.
I can kind of see his face, but
Isn't it older guy shot Nikon for years?
yeah, Nikon,
Yeah.
no, all Nikon all the time.
I think he's still a Nikon
Um,
ambassador.
and he so I had I was old Nikon gear at the time,
Mhm.
and I had one big flash and multiple smaller flashes, and I would set like the main one at quarter power and the other ones
Right.
at, and they all had a good synchronization between them. um Not quite as, I think that was the benefit. Before I went to Nikon, I was on Olympus and the
Right.
like OM2S,
Right.
OM4, OM3T. I had all those, and they had a great flash sync system.
Yeah, not Joe
But
McNally, was it?
Joe McNally, that's
Okay.
I think the guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Moose was the first person I learned from. Then it was Joe. Then it was Strobist.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
I think that the thing about Joe that's like kind of amazing is that he's a really good all arounder. So I pulled him
Hmm.
up on the Nikon ambassadors list. He's not on the like
Mm.
generic one. He's on the like the artist, fine art kind of thing.
Mm.
He's here under commercial portrait. I think commercial maybe because that means you get whatever gig you do it kind of thing. And he has.
Right.
He shot like the Air Force. He shot for NASA. Like
Yeah.
he shot a
Oh
whole
yeah.
bunch of just
Yeah.
like ballet, like all types of stuff. But
Yeah.
they've got him under portrait here, and I got to say, of all the things that he does, he's okay at portraits, but that's got to be
Yeah.
like he's just so much better at so many of like
Yeah.
environmental portraiture. Maybe is where I put him, but he's just so good at capturing like an area as well as the
Right.
subject in it, and then like lighting them all. It's just amazing. But anyway,
I feel like,
all this to say, I thought you handled your flash pretty well because it wasn't obvious.
yeah, I feel like I might have even met him,
Wow,
um,
awesome.
because I feel like there was a day that he came into our the camera shop. I worked at a camera shop in high school, and
Right.
through college, and we had one guy that would come in a lot, a guy named Doug Wren, who
Okay.
was a photographer for did a lot of National Geographic, and feel like the two of them knew each other, but maybe I mean that is 40 years ago, so um, it could be imagination. Wonder if that guy's photos
Yeah,
around Doug.
well, I made a face because I just stumbled across an obituary, so I'm hoping it wasn't his. But yes, sorry. I was
Oh
just
no, he
Doug
died.
Wren.
Gotta be 30 years ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Doug Wren, spelled W-R-E-N. His wife was the editor for the Islander News, which was where I
Great.
was my first job,
Yeah.
delivering the paper.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he still did
he
a ton of stock photos and stuff for sale, like on all these. It's really interesting the legacy that you leave behind as a photographer. Hey.
He was a big guy. I mean, he drove around in his like van, which like plastered with National Geographic and all sorts of other logos.
Yeah.
And he was a big guy. And then one year we saw him next time, and he was like razor thin.
Oh no.
And then like a few months later, he passed away.
Passed. Oh, poor guy.
Yeah,
that's awful. Well, he's definitely got some amazing photos here. So yeah, that was Doug, W-R-E-N, and I was just going through some of the old stock stuff. Yeah. Lots of good sports stuff. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. There was an Africa trip, and I did the first prints on all his photos. So yeah, it was.
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, that's awesome. I still not gone on one of those, those workshops where you all kind of go together someplace. The Giving Lens is the one I've always wanted to do because a friend helped organize it back in the day, where they like give to local people as well as do a trip. So it's not just colonial tourism or what have you.
Right.
You're at least doing some good, not just stealing photos and running home. But I would actually like to do that at some point in time, just like travel, and take photos. As opposed to traveling and take. I know that sounds kind of silly, but like traveling to take photos as opposed to taking photos while I travel, I guess is what I'm talking about.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think I mentioned that was one I did. The one that I've done was with Trey Ratcliffe.
Right.
And
Trey was part of the Giving Lens for a bit. I'm not sure
was he?
Still is. Yeah.
But my wife, Tony, she not a photography thing, but she did like a trip that was for, with a specific topic. And so she did a cruise with Scientific American.
That's awesome. Wow.
Yeah.
I feel like some nerdy cruise I'm all about, because like when I look at a cruise, I feel like it's gonna be just a little bit boring, right? Like as long if I can learn a skill while I'm on this cruise, maybe that'd be awesome.
Right.
Because otherwise, like unlimited, drink and food, and probably just relax and come back a week later, no smarter, maybe dumber kind of thing. But I see these cruises where like I don't know, TypeScript boot camp or something, and you hop on some Alaska Pacific cruise and go and learn TypeScript, and maybe your significant other is having the time of their life, and you're like just writing the books the whole time. But that looks fun to me.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, I don't know if it still is, but for a long time, taking a cruise was one of the cheapest vacations possible. As long as you're like, bottom room, kind of inside room, and relying on the ability to walk out to the top. But I mean, then it can be, I mean, cheaper than going to a restaurant for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, since that's what you're doing. It's not that much more. And you go to these great places.
Yeah, it sounds
unfortunately
awesome.
the food has gone well. It used to be amazing, and it's gone way down, unless you're spending a lot of money. It's kind of gone down. We used to take cruises when I was growing up in Miami. Cruises were definitely the cheap vacation, because I mean, we didn't have to fly anywhere. We just we would I mean, the most expensive part of it would be long-term parking near the Miami cruise terminal.
I mean, you're already in paradise in Florida. Why would you leave? don't
We
understand.
lived on an island off the coast of Miami, so I mean, it's I don't know. Those early cruises that we did, where the
Mhm.
food was amazing. I think of like the Carla Sea by Costa Cruises, and we went to Martinique and Curacao and
Nice,
Grenada,
nice.
Caracas, uh, San Juan. It was amazing, amazing,
Yeah, that sounds
amazing.
great.
Yeah.
And now, like looking back at those, do you feel like? Because I'm just thinking, like as a child, so our trips were primarily camping, and I want to say like
Mm,
I learned something, right? So maybe
yeah.
I learned how to pitch a tent. Maybe
Right.
this is like a big maybe. I probably learned more social skills because like in a campground, it is kind of boring. And as a child, if
Hmm.
you probably want to play with other children, that kind of thing. So
Right.
you have to like make friends and hang out
Hmm.
and stuff like that. So I feel like I learned a modicum, like a small
Yeah.
amount of social skills. But I wonder, like, what you're learning because I'm sure there's social skills on like
Yeah.
on a cruise. Did you learn how to like inflate a raft? Like, what are the other skills that came
Mm,
around with this? I wonder. So I learned how to camp essentially, and it's a
yeah.
skill that I've not used as an adult at all. I've not gone adult camping. I've kind of had enough of
Well,
that. I got my fill when I was younger.
we are going on our first kind of camp trip. We just booked something.
Are you bringing the little one?
Uh, yeah.
There, see, now you're teaching
So
them skills, right? Like if there's some apprenticeship of cruises, like what are you learning on the cruise?
right.
No
So
offense to your
there's.
parents. I'm just wondering, like, what skills you got out of this.
I don't think I got any skills out of the cruise. I mean, we did some other vacations where we'd fly somewhere. Like we went to.
But you didn't like
Uh,
they didn't make you start a fire or anything like that, right? Like
no, no, no.
your poor child.
But we did learn how to take the subway and the city buses in Mexico City.
That is a pretty important skill, honestly.
when when I was, I don't know, 13,
Pub-
14 years old.
yeah, public
And
transportation
and we
and
get
train.
and we get home and we find out it's the most dangerous subway in the world.
There you go.
Oops.
Well, I mean, listen, you're still here. Lesson learned. So when because I have tons of questions about this now. This is like a DevOps like case study. So like you're taking your child camping. There's so many
Mhm.
skills to learn.
Yeah.
Your child's
Now it's not real camping.
oh, you're glamping.
I so
Okay.
I have my
Y-
definition of what
You're
real
not digging a
camping is.
hole or anything.
There's no digging holes for but I don't know,
Latrine,
maybe
yeah,
there
that's
will
where I
be.
was going.
Um there's so I would classify real camping as
Mhm.
you put everything on your back or into a canoe or into a kayak and you carry all your stuff to get to where you're going and you set up a tent. I think of that as real camping.
Like real TM gatekeeping camping. Got it.
Yeah. Getting in a car and car camping or having a van or having
Okay.
a glamping thing.
Okay.
Nah, it's not real
I've
camping.
certainly done the
But that's
cabin
what we're
thing.
doing.
I honestly would highly recommend it. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. And when I've rafted through the
Right,
like
the Grand
Grand
Canyon.
Canyon
Yeah.
and in on the Snake River,
Mhm.
I'd count that as pretty much close to real camping.
I mean, that's an excursion for sure. Like
Yeah.
that's pretty hardcore. Come on. We don't need to
What we're
gatekeep camping. I think you're good to go.
what we're doing in like March or April timeframe is there's a place here on the island that rents out VW vans that are decked out as
Like
camper vans.
yeah, Westphalia, right on.
So it's called the company is called Pack Westy,
Okay.
and so we've just rented one of their vans for 4 or 5 days, and that's gonna be I think it's gonna be great. I don't know where we're gonna go.
These look really
We're
cool.
gonna
And
probably
you can drive the van too, right? It looks like.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're probably gonna go over to the west coast of Washington and go to some of the beaches and just find different campsites along the way. And I don't know.
Dude, this
Have
is
to-
awesome. I
we probably have
just
to
got the
book it
name
ahead of
too.
time.
Like it's Pac
Yeah.
West, like Pacific West and Pac Westy, like
Mhm.
Westphalia.
Mhm.
Pretty clever.
Hmm.
So it's packwesty.com. That's WESTY if you want to stalk Matt's
Yeah.
camping plans. This does look
Yeah.
really cool though.
Yeah.
Very
So
neat.
yeah, we're
How long are you
excited
doing
about
it for?
doing that. Their minimum is 4 days, so I think we're
Okay.
gonna do it for 5 days.
Yep.
Um,
And of course, I have to ask, what are you going to do for internet? Like when you need to run your deploys or whatever, right? Like, what's are you doing
now
$5G? No, just
I
going
don't
offline.
think I mean, I would imagine some of those campsites probably have something
That's
maybe, or, um, it's I know that when we've last time we went out to any of those beaches on the west coast of Washington State, we were staying at the lodge, the National Park Lodge at,
nice.
Lake Quinault,
Wow.
and then went out to the beach.
Yeah, yeah.
And, there's not even, like, cell service, for some of those things. So, I don't know. I mean, I expect that week I might be completely offline.
This lodge is really nice.
Oh, Lake Quinault? Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, Lake Quinault and also, Crescent Lake, the National Park Lodge. Those 2 I mean, we've stayed at both of them. They're incredible. Um,
Oh, Lake Crescent Lodge. Wow. Yeah, this is also fantastic.
there are other
Nice.
unfortunately, it's all run by, what's that company? Aramark, which is, like,
My uncle used to
taken
work for them. Yeah.
all the really great lodges and kind of done as much as they can to destroy them.
Listen, not a fan of some of corporations, but they're searching their almighty dollar is kind of what our is known for. It's like optimization. Unfortunately, they buy things, optimize them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And another lodge that we've stayed at was the one at, uh, what's the lake?
See, I can get behind these lodges.
Crater
Like,
Lake.
listen, what was it?
The one at Crater Lake.
Oh, Crater Lake's amazing. Nice.
So it's right at at the rim of Crater Lake, and you can,
Oh,
it was gorgeous. It was we were driving down from, I think I was in Portland for Monotorama, and Tony met up with me, and we drove south to get to, I think we drove all the way to San Francisco. Yeah, I want to say that's what we did. And we, on the way, we thought, well, let's just see if they've got availability. And so we called
just randomly.
maybe
Yeah.
randomly, like we were 3 hours away from Crater Lake, saying, "Do you have availability for tonight?" Says, "Well, actually, we just got a cancellation. How many are in your party?" Well, it's just 2 of us. Well, unfortunately, it's a room for 8 people. I said, "We'll take it. How much?" Says, "Well, it's I don't know what it was, like $500 a night or something like that, because it's for 8 people."
Yeah.
Said, "Great, we'll do it." Because there's nothing. I mean,
Yeah.
you have to drive, an hour, 2 hours to get to Crater Lake, and that's the closest.
Right.
So we did it, and it was for. I understand it has a bunch of beds, but it was the most awful hotel. It was just horrible, horrible rooms.
Oh
And
no.
like we've got this
I was gonna say this sounds like an
amazing
awesome spur of the
location.
moment trip. Yeah.
Amazing location.
Perfect timing.
And the windows, like it's a big building, but the windows are all like little portholes.
I see that on the top. They're like these tiny, tiny little windows. Yeah.
Yeah.
It almost
So
looks like a tenement housing or something in the UK. Like it
yeah.
kind of has that sort of feel
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
I
I
say
would
this
go
as
there, I
having
would
never been
totally
to
go
the
there
UK.
again.
Okay.
I would totally go there again because you're on Crater Lake, and so the walks around there are just gorgeous.
Right.
Um,
Just
and
not
we've
the
I've
okay.
also stayed at the Awani in Yosemite.
Oh, nice. Now,
On this,
I think as you're telling me these things, like I'm trying to think of a DevOps story, right? So as you're bringing up an apprentice, you
hmm
teach them the ropes and they learn new things. And for me, thinking about camping is like you're learning a skill. You can pitch a tent, start a
hmm
fire, learn how to shower in the wild, maybe do your business, that kind of stuff. I wonder a little bit about what you're like learning in the lodge, but maybe more importantly, I wonder about like those survival techniques. Like, especially like, and I think maybe gatekeeping, I think is not great, but maybe setting a line in the sand between what camping is and camping isn't, so you understand if you're like learning a valuable
Right.
skill or not, is probably good. Because I do wonder, looking at this Iwani lodge, what kind of skill you might be learning here. It is beautiful though, like holy moly, all these
Yeah.
lodges
Yeah.
are gorgeous. This
Well,
is
unfortunately, that was a trip. I was probably 15 at the time, 14, 15 years old. And we were in Yosemite for like 4 nights or
Right.
5 nights, and we could only get the Awani for 2 nights. And so we moved from the Awani, which is incredible. And then we had 3 nights at Curry Village,
Yeah,
which
see,
is
this is another thing
like a
about so you
cesspool.
yeah, you start here, and you get used to like a certain lifestyle.
Yeah.
So let's say
Yeah.
you're working at Google as a DevOps engineer, because I'm gonna hold on
Mhm.
to this allegory for a while, or analogy. And you're used to all these developer toolings, and then you leave Google,
Yeah.
you're like, I could do better elsewhere. And then you realize, hey, I'm missing all this stuff because your first job was at Google, and you got used to all. We're back to
Yeah.
lodges, all the nice lodge amenities, and then you're
Mhm.
camping again. And it's like,
Yeah.
I never learned how to build a fire or build my own CI/CD work system. This seems like the wrong way about it. The
Yeah.
Awani though, and for those not watching and listening, it's AHWAHNEE. But the Awani looks classy. This is like,
Spectacular.
yeah, this is really nice.
I mean,
Oh
this
my,
is so I would have been 13, 14, 15 years old. I
yeah,
mean, that's
I barely
that's
remember. Yeah,
40 that's 40 years ago, and I still
yeah.
remember it as like, "Oh
Oh,
my
nice.
god."
See,
That
that's pulling a lot, right? If you remember it from like teenage years to
Mhm.
now, that means it really
Mhm.
left an impression for you. That's
It
really
could be a dump, and I was just mesmerized anyway. I don't know, but
I mean,
I
maybe
don't
the
think so.
photos are from when you went, but like, yeah, the photos are nice.
Yeah.
The lounges and parlors are really cool at the very least.
Yeah.
That's a nice looking place. So I
You know,
wonder. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I'm just thinking it reminds me, what I have in my head, it felt similar to when we stayed pretty recently, maybe 2 years ago at the Empress in Victoria,
Right. Now,
and it feels like that kinda level.
did I ever tell you the story so we talked about the Empress, of course.
Mhm.
I researched it and looked it up and stuff like that. Did I ever tell you about the letters about the Empress that landed in, oh, I forget what it's called. The UK has this thing where they read letters, and it's like
Hmm.
this big thing. And one of them was about the Empress. And I don't want to spoil the story too much, but it was somebody who had written a letter to the Empress asking for
Uh-huh,
their forgiveness for his ban because he's got to go back to a wedding party. And like he's
uh-huh.
kind of joking. He's like, I'm pretty sure you forgot, but just in case, I've got a wedding party to go to, and I need to make sure that I'm not off ban because 20 years ago I went there and I heard that there was great salami in town, so I bought some. And it was really hot in the room, so I left the windows open, and apparently
I
a bunch
heard
of
this, yes.
seagulls. Oh, you have heard it? Got in the room and made a huge mess, and he got banned for life. And it might even be like Benedict Cumberbatch who reads the letter,
Mhm,
but it is
mhm.
phenomenal. I'll see if I can link it in.
Phenomenal, yes. Yeah.
It's such a good story. Plus, like this production that they put on, they generally get like
Mhm.
celebrities to come read the letters, so they have like
Yeah.
great intonation and comedic
Yeah.
timing and stuff like that. And it had me in my SO, my significant other.
Yes.
We were in stitches,
Yeah.
just rolling laughing. It was so good because it just seems like one of those things that we could do. Like, oh, great salami. Oh, it's a little warm in here. Let's open the room. And of course, you come back to just chaos.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. Anyway, highly recommend watching this. Was quite good. Quite good.
Mhm.
What else is on the books? What else do you got planned here? We're getting into sort of the spring cleaning time of the year, and I don't know if you've been doing maintenance, but I've been going around the house like fixing Linux boxes and storage machines and networks and
Mm.
updates. And there's a new 0-day exploit for your phones yesterday. I don't know if you updated overnight, but like,
No,
yeah,
I don't know anything about this. What do I have to do?
it
What I have
just
to
one day
update?
update apparently. Yeah, 20
Mm.
hours ago. Sorry, I meant to say that as we were scanning the news before we got on because I actually do a lot of research here. I came across this while looking up Apple headset news and Apple car news and stuff like that. But it does look like there's some updates that need to be done. There was also like I want to say 25 million passwords that were all relatively new, breached 2 to 3 days ago. Some of them are Trello.
Yeah.
I was only a Trello user, so I got to have a been boned email from Troy
Yep.
Hunt of all people. which is
Yep, I
great.
got
But
that.
yeah, just have a look at your accounts. But yeah, that's kind of it for news for me. There's not a lot. Like January is kind of a slow news month. There's a bunch
Yeah.
in the AI world, but like nothing groundbreaking. No drama around
Mhm.
OpenAI. It looks like that's settled, which is good. So it looks like we're now just trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to use AI to make money.
Right,
I
right.
think everybody's heads down trying to do that right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, today things changed a little bit because it's the weather has been
Right,
miserable
right.
for at least a week, and it's gorgeous today.
Yeah, I went for a walk today.
And
It felt great.
yeah, I mean, it was uh I could go out in a t-shirt. I'd rather have a sweater, but it's really, really comfortable and lovely.
It's I want to say yeah, it's 8 degrees here. I'm not sure what that would be in centigrade.
Um,
Uh, sorry, in Fahrenheit. My
Fahrenheit.
apologies.
Double
It's
plus 30.
50. Yeah, it is in fact
Yeah.
50. Good call. Double plus
Double
30.
it's actually like 9/4 plus 32, but double plus 30.
That's enough. Like you're less than an order of magnitude off. That's
Yeah.
good enough for me.
Yeah.
Plus or minus 10%.
Yeah. Sorry, my computer keeps
I
beeping.
hear that. Yeah, is that your
Hold on.
Discord channel
That's I think it's
blowing up?
Discord is hold on, let me turn that off.
No worries.
Shut up.
Boop, boop.
Okay.
Here
That's
he
better.
comes.
Yep. Well, oh, hey, this is just something that came up that I thought of just now. Um, before I've
Mhm.
been on, on this for this stream, I've been using the GH5
Yeah.
for the stream forever.
Yep.
Um, and for all my videos that I've done for the last, well, since the GH5 came out. And whenever I've set up for doing a new video,
Mhm.
first thing I do is open up the Lumix app on the computer here. Um, Click to focus on me, and it
Mhm.
focuses, and I just leave on manual focus all the time.
Mhm.
That way, just in case it doesn't breathe or do anything.
Right.
Um, and I haven't had to do that in well, since getting this,
Oh,
S52X.
right, right,
I
right.
mean, it's just like it doesn't breathe in the background. I don't see that happen. I keep watching for any sort of breathing.
I
And
haven't seen any
it's
even mine did that. Like when I did this earlier
mhm,
while
I saw,
laughing, it kind of
yeah,
focused on the background and it was
yeah,
kind of annoying. It's generally pretty good. But I think when
yeah,
I laugh and put my face off screen, it messes up. But yeah, I've noticed it's been rock solid, which is
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And that's what so I've had that for about 3 weeks now.
Yeah.
And it's just the first time I set it up, it was definitely doing a lot of that. But you just go in and tweak some of the settings so it doesn't, and maybe it's less sensitive, but faster.
Right.
Um, so it doesn't update as quickly,
Right.
but it just stays locked on.
I should probably do the same. Yeah, generally what you want is like less sensitive, less pulling.
Yeah.
The other thing that I can do on mine is like face registration. Have you ever tried that before?
No.
I have not. I think it might be good for, like, a wedding. You know, when there's, like,
Yeah.
10 faces and you know
Yeah.
that the people that are important, like, listen, you're all important, but the people that are really important are these 2 in the middle. It
Right.
used to happen to
Yep.
me all the time at a wedding. It's not like I missed focus, but the critical focus wasn't on, the
Right.
people of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what I find difficult here is that it thinks the painting or pictures behind me are more
Yeah.
interesting than I am. Yeah, what are you gonna
Yeah.
do?
No, the face recognition, it does a really good job.
It seems like it.
And yeah, it's actually not doing so there's the option of doing face and eyes or just human
Right,
body.
right.
Um, and with face and eyes, it doesn't do good if, I turn that way.
Right, right.
Um,
I find
but
body is better. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, because sometimes you'll want, like, someone's looking at like, they don't always need to have their eyes facing the camera, you know what I
right.
mean?
Yeah.
Especially if I'm using, like, if I'm taking photos of the dogs, for example, if I set it to eye autofocus and the dog turns around, it has no idea. It's like,
Yeah.
where did dog go?" kinda thing. But both of our dogs have, like, dark faces and with, like,
Mhm.
contrast detect, it's impossible to
Mhm.
do, let alone face detect let
Mhm.
alone like a moving puppy. But the
Yeah.
A7R5 is, or Alpha 7R5 is doing really well catching the puppy's
Mhm.
face, as well as when she's turned, basically, which to
Yeah.
me, it's ridiculous spending a lot of money on a camera to do this. However, if you've already got the camera, because this is all I've
Yeah.
been taking
Oh,
photos
yeah.
of lately, it's just like
Yeah.
it's like serotonin heaven in here. It's ridiculous. It's just
Mhm.
every day is something novel and exciting. So I've just
Right.
been taking photos of the dog, but it's surprisingly fun. It's just like
Yeah.
I think we've gotten to a point now where the effort involved in taking a good photo, like technically good photo,
Right.
is so little that you can then concentrate on the actual image, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Let
Yeah.
alone like these live photos or video snippets where you can take a screenshot at 4K, and that's actually a pretty good photo. We had someone this morning. They had gone to like a safari, but share some stuff in our photography channel,
Mm.
and they had taken a bunch of underwater photos, which looked really clear. And I had asked them like,
Mm.
"Hey, these are pretty clear. Like your photos underwater are normally pretty good anyway.
Right.
These are
Right.
really good." And he said, "Yeah, these are just the Insta 360, but because they're 4K, I can just take a screen grab
Mhm.
of them and share them on Slack, and you're none the
Right.
wiser, basically." And
Right.
then 360 on its side basically has a like an underwater mode that gets rid
Mhm.
of, because the color cast is
Yeah.
all weird
Right.
and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But the photos looked phenomenal. It's just
Yeah.
it's I guess it's just amazing to me that a little camera that there's no button to push can take
Mhm.
video that is this quality that you can just take a screenshot
Mhm.
at this point in time and
Yep.
everybody thinks it's a photo. It's just what is considered photography is kind of my reframe all the time now,
Right.
but like
Right.
what is considered traditional photography is now
Yeah.
completely blown out of the water, and image making is democratized, or at least
Mhm.
assuming you can afford the devices, democratized,
Yeah.
which is awesome.
Yeah.
I don't know, amazing to me.
Yeah.
Amazing to
Yeah.
me. If you gave, I mean, maybe not a good idea, but if you gave your child your old camera
Mm.
and asked them to take photos, I have a
Yeah.
feeling they do a pretty good job because the autofocus, even on the older camera, is so darn good.
Yeah, I have, if you look at my photos, whatever photos app,
Mhm.
um, and go to recents, you will find the times that I've given, Stella the camera,
Yep.
because there are, let's see if I can find,
Is it like 40 photos
I've
at a time?
yeah, yeah, it is like
Why not?
like, "Stop!
Space is free.
Give me my camera back."
Well,
Yeah.
there's that mode which I've never understood where you can like it's not press and hold because that's video, but there's a way that you can press like a bunch of photos. Oh, this is this is a feature of the new Mac OS. For those
Yeah.
listening, I did a thumbs up sign, and
Yeah,
yes,
didn't
it's in Mac OS, and it will just shove it
yeah,
into your video feed, which is like thanks,
yeah,
but no thanks. But I do like that mode for taking a ton of photos. But your complaint is
mhm,
similar to my significant other's complaint. Is like every time you grab my phone,
yeah,
bring it back. There's hundreds of these, and then my chore is to just pick one and delete the bunch. And it's such
yep,
a chore that she just like doesn't pick the right one, and blah 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 blah
right,
blah. So at the end of the day, it means that we don't get nice photos, which is
yeah,
not the goal. But I've been doing a lot
mhm.
on photo storage these days. Is this a path that you've crossed, or do you just like throw it up in Google Drive? Where do you put the photos?
S just where am I storing them?
Yeah.
Um, so on my phone, I mean, a all the these photos, they're all on the phone,
Okay. Not backed up.
and huh? Well,
Backed
they're
up.
backed up also to iCloud,
iCloud. Okay.
um, and so I don't have to really think about it. Um, I do have I don't know if I've updated my photos. I know we have one machine that is also being back up to Backblaze,
Right.
and we are, I'm basically having all the important stuff on all the machines copied over to that machine because I put on a 8 terabyte disk on there plus the disk that's in there. Um, and so it's got a lot of extra room, and so that backs up everything basically for the house. It's kind of like the
That's smart.
what was the Apple
Time machine.
service for backing up Time Machine, yeah,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Um,
I,
but
I think I'm about to do the same thing. I'm paying $80 a month to Google now. I've got 14 terabytes of storage up there. Like
oh my
honestly,
god,
way too
yeah,
much. At one point in time, they were like, "Hey, give us all your data, free
Yeah.
unlimited storage. No problem.
Mhm.
I can do that. So for years, as I took
Mhm.
photos, I would just pop them into Google Photos, and
Yeah.
they're like, "Hey, can't do raw on Google Photos anymore. You're gonna have to move
Right.
over to Drive." So I did that. And they're like, "Hey, we're getting rid of workspaces. Now you get this, or getting rid of whatever it was. Now you're in
Yeah.
workspace. Cool." And then they're like, "Hey, storage for each user is 15 terabyte. Sorry, 5 terabytes now." And I was like,
Right.
I'm over that. And I went
Yeah.
back and forth with them for years. And then finally, Last Straw hit last year. And I spent a
Mhm.
year of paying like basically $1,000 to Google. And I'm at the
Jesus.
point now where like I could buy a new NAS every year. So I'm about to cut the cord again and pay
Yeah.
Backblaze because they're so much better. The only problem I've got with
Yeah.
Backblaze is that like they want you to be backing up from a desktop, which I get, but
Right.
so they won't do like they won't do Samba shares, they won't do SIF shares, they will do iSCSI.
Yep.
Don't say anything because I'm sure at some
Yep.
point in time they'll be able to test it. But like it means thinking about the way that you back things up, or like you're saying, centralizing one backup server and backing
Yeah.
out from one, which is fine. The other thing is I used them for years and unfortunately I stopped paying them. So I can't like reseed where I was.
Mm.
And then one of my computers was offline for a while and I lost all that too. So I've got to start from zero, unfortunately. So I
Yeah.
think 14 terabytes based on my ISP, I think
Mhm.
will take me 1 year to upload there because I've got like about a terabyte a month.
Yeah.
It's
And
gonna
they
be
they
massive.
had I mean, they have the service where, if you need to download all your data,
They can ship you a hard drive.
they'll
I want to
send
ship
you
them a hard drive.
they'll
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I want it the other
You
way
got it.
around. Yeah.
You got
Yeah.
it. Exactly. I want to ship you a 20 terabyte hard drive and I
Yeah.
want you to ingest my data. It's
Yeah.
security be darned. just figure
Mhm.
it out. I got viruses, back those up too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I can understand why they don't do it, but
Yeah.
also I wish they did.
Yeah.
Like at this point in time, I
Yeah.
was thinking about it. Like I would be happy to pay a family member to
Mhm.
send them a hard drive and have them
Mhm.
keep it online. Like just
Right. Well,
I'd
I think
almost rather do
that's
that.
I think that's, a really there was another tool that I think it might have been Backblaze had like a family or maybe I don't know if it was Backblaze or it was another
Spider Oak
company
did. Was it that way?
where you could, have multiple, people that you would connect to and everybody would back up to each other.
I thought that was Spider Oak, but maybe that's a different thing. You've not heard of Spider Oak, so it can't be that.
No. No, it's
I can tell by
definitely
the
not that.
confused look in your face. Spider Oak's one of those like weird niche kind of backup programs.
Yeah.
Or like Arclone is the other one. Have you heard of
Mm.
Arclone before? No, it's
I
a little
had
bit
Arc.
good. Arc is pretty good, yeah. But
Yeah.
that's old. That's like I haven't heard of that in a
Yeah.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna bite the bullet anyway and go Backblaze. But at this
Well,
point in time,
I think,
I've got 4
if
NASs at home is where I was going
right.
with this. This is like too
Yeah.
much.
Well, I think, if I had, I don't have I I have 2 NASs that are completely turned off because they're so slow and loud. But like an old Synology and an even older Drobo.
Oh wow, yeah.
And I don't know if Drobo even exists anymore.
I haven't heard of them in a
Um,
while.
but then I've got just a QNAP 2 disc 2 disc NAS that actually Datadog paid for.
That's awesome. When you're doing video stuff?
Yeah, no, it was for um the first Datadog summit that we did. We was at a place in New York, and I was doing, I did that's where the training department really started, was me doing trainings in and I knew that we couldn't rely on the network, even though I requested, the fastest possible network, and
Yeah,
the IT guy didn't show up that day.
of course.
And but I had the NAS with all the images on it so that
Mhm.
people would pull from there, and it ended up being that the network inside the building was so slow that we couldn't use it anyway.
Oh, that's awful. Neil's
Yeah.
asking like a distributed backup. I think Neil's in the same situation that both of
Yeah.
us are in. Is that like,
But
hey, how do we pool all the family storage
right.
together? Because I've got
Yeah,
myself, but like, yeah, I do actually want to back up my family's data. The amount of times they've told
right.
me they've lost their homework or like their
Right.
thesis or all of their
Yeah.
photos for the last 10 years. I
Yeah.
love my family, but also like I'd really rather just this is one of the cases where I'd really rather just do their tech support than have to deal
Right.
with it after, because once they've lost their data, it's awful.
Yeah.
And I feel
Yeah.
awful, but it's like I can't help you. You put that
Yeah.
on a removable USB drive from 2002. It's gone.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
It's gone. So Neil, I
And
guess we don't know. We were trying to find the name. It's not Spider Oak, but I think there is some program that Matt's
there
come
was
across.
a full, like a company that still exists today that does backups, and they had something where you would back up to, and I want to say it might have been Backblaze.
There is Backblaze groups. My Google Foo might have been bad. I was looking for Backblaze family, but there is Backblaze groups. Perhaps that's it.
It was something that used to be there, and then they
Not
took
Crash
away.
Plan, right?
Crash Plan, that was it.
Oh, it was Crash Plan. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It crashed and burned. I think Crash Plan's gone. I think.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
I think. I'm gonna Google this before Crash Plan.
Because I was using that.
Oh, they're still around. My apologies. Drobo, by the way, out of business as of January of last year. Self-service model. I'm rapidly googling all these stuff as we talk. Crash Plan is still around and does look like it's got a family plan. So perhaps, Neil, this is what we're looking for. Yeah.
But I was thinking, well, one thing you could do is, if I have a NAS and you have a NAS, we back up to each other as a alternate instead of using a Backblaze. But the amount that you'd have to, the paying for Backblaze, even if you have two machines, it'll take you 20 years to match what that single NAS will cost, plus the network costs.
And their ingest is actually pretty slow for Backblaze, at least. I'm not sure about Crash Plan.
But I'm saying that Backblaze is a better option than doing it yourself, just because the cost of having that Synology or QNAP NAS is, these things aren't, getting a decent big NAS that can support, plus the disks.
Yeah. My Synology was like, I think $3,000 plus the disc. The Asus
plus the disc,
was like $1,000. It was cheaper plus the disc, 10 discs, 8 discs in the other one. The TerraMaster.
And if you're paying $100 a year for Backblaze,
that's one drive.
That's that's 20 years to match, and there's no limit.
Yeah. So you and Neil agree. I disagree. What I want to do is send a NAS to both you and Neil and have you maintain the NAS for me. Or if you've got the NAS already, can I pay you like 10 cents a month to run a Docker container for me? That's what I want. I want to make my problem your problem without paying you a lot.
And that was the neat thing about Crash Plan was that we could I could say I want to dedicate 2 gigs of my NAS to your backup, or not 2 gigs, 2 terabytes, 5 terabytes to your backups, or just other people's backups. And yet I don't think I was able. It would be encrypted for me, so that I didn't have access to that data.
Yeah, I think it's encrypted for both, based on what I'm looking at, which is kind of interesting. It's
only you can unencrypt your data. I cannot.
Yeah. Now, I may be reading this wrong, but I think that's like the Crash Plan Professional, which is like $90 USD per year, I think.
Yeah, and it used to be free.
Wow. Oh, because you're not using the storage.
Because you could use their services and pay, or you could have Crash Plan between other people, and that was free.
I don't see that. Maybe that's
no, they got rid of that. Is that because the reason I knew about it is because that was one of the default apps you could install from on your Synology NAS was Crash Plan.
I think it might still be there. The free plan's gone, but it's only $3. So maybe that's what they did, is they just decided to put like a paywall on it.
Maybe there was a time where they said, okay, that's going away. And so everybody like, screw that. We don't need Crash Plan. And then they probably thought, whoa. What we meant was
so simple.
Oh, you can.
Sorry,
we weren't saying we're going to take it away.
Hey, whoa. I think that might be it. I'm gonna have to.
Whoa.
But it sounds like Matt, Neil, and Ryan are gonna have some sort of storage network here. I love this because so on one point the AES 256 is kind of awful because like you can't dedupe or compress my data once it gets to you. On the other hand, I do feel like for security, because like listen, backing up tax documents, or who knows what freaking photo I took with my phone of something I was trying to scan. But like,
Hmm.
I understand the encryption. I think that's a really good
Yeah.
idea. But like for us to figure this out on
Yeah.
our own Synologies would be quite complicated. Like I could see the
Yeah.
sticky gears
Oh, yeah.
for tech people to just agree on how
Hmm.
you and I should store each other's data. This is
Right.
really cool. Thank you. I will definitely look into this. I mean, $3. I get $3. I'll try
So
$3.
$3, what? $3 per what?
$3 per machine for Crash Plan Essential.
Is
Sorry,
that how much?
like I'm just reading. Like, what is the difference between this and Pro? It might not go to them. So it's basically like you're getting the client and the server
You're
that you're paying
for
the
their
license for.
service.
Not even their service. I think it's literally just the client and the server.
I mean,
I'm
their
gonna have to,
their software
yeah.
that you will back up to
Another device of
another
yours in
machine.
another location securely.
Yeah.
Is what I'm understanding. And I
And
get
is
why people
that
balk at the
$3 a
price.
month? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So $36 a year.
But they're charging you for storage. I'll have to dig into this. This is
Hmm.
definitely very interesting. Even if it's 200 gigabytes, $3 a month for 200 gigabytes sounds like a pretty good deal. I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something.
I don't know. I mean that the Backblaze has
Backblaze is 10, right? We're now a backup podcast. Yeah, Neil found the wrinkle. $1 a month per additional 100 gigs. And I'm at about 14 terabytes. No, I don't need 14 terabytes in the cloud. It's probably about 7 or 8 after I looked into it. But still, like, it's non-trivial to put your photo storage RAWs in the cloud.
yeah.
Single user is $100 a year USD for
Yeah.
Backblaze, which is what I was paying
100
before.
$100 a year, and I have about 8 terabytes on there.
I think we got about the same, and you do a lot more video than I do.
And I also paid the extra for the either 1 year or unlimited like revisions.
Right.
So that way, if my computer goes offline, for which has done
Right.
for like 2 months, once
I
it
did
goes
not
past
pay
the 2
that.
months,
They will delete your data. They
Yeah.
will send you emails, but they will delete your data. And
Yeah.
if it's gone because it's like a power supply failure or something like that, like
Yeah.
please don't care.
And that's what I had. I had a power supply failure on my iMac, the 4K iMac, and I got it repaired, but it took a while to do. And so then I just like I was coming up to that 2-month limit, and I paid them, for the extended. Like, okay, great, we'll hold on to your data forever.
That's pretty smart. I should have just done that.
And they're really good. Backblaze is really good about taking. Okay, you've backed up all your data. We have your 6 terabytes or 8 terabytes, and now you've got this what looks like a new machine to us.
Right.
And then no, that machine is actually this machine. You can't do that automatically, but you just tell them.
There's like an import thing, I think, right?
I think I had to like you set up a new trial on that new machine, and then they transfer it over,
Right.
transfer the
Yeah,
license
they do a license
over.
swap. Yeah, I've done that twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was with them for
Yeah.
a long time, and I should have just kept. I was like, I don't need to pay Google, and then Google's free, kind of thing. I
Mhm.
should have known. Like, I should have known.
Mm.
It's
Yeah.
the Google free lunch, right? Like this is the business. We were talking about capitalism earlier, but this is how they get you. They get you in, and you can't leave. It's so simple. Oh, geez. So listen, 50 minutes passed there. Did you have anything
Wow.
that you wanted to check out on that you've been watching or listening to or recommendations?
So we just did the 7-day trial for Stars, because there's only one show on Stars that's worthwhile that I've.
That can't be true. Stars execs are gonna get on the line. What do you got? What's the show?
It's just for the most recent season of Outlander.
Outlander, which I still haven't seen. Okay.
So good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm looking at.
There was another show that they had before, and it's still. I mean, it's. I ended up watching an episode pretty recently just because I just needed to see an episode of it. Black Sails. Oh my god, that was amazing.
Was it good? Okay.
Oh yeah. So like, get the trial for 7 days and like quit.
What was it
for
called?
a
Black
week.
Sails.
And
They've also got White Queen and the Spanish Princess.
yeah, they've got a bunch of. I
Adjectives
mean,
down. The
yeah,
Serpent Queen.
there's a
We
whole
got
bunch
left.
of those. Yeah, but Black Sails and
Oh, they have
Outlander.
American Gods. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah.
I have seen American Gods, which was phenomenal.
Mm.
If you've not seen it, that is my recommendation for
That's
you.
the like Neil. Is it Neil
Yes.
Stevenson? Or, yeah.
Yes, the book was phenomenal. The series is pretty
Neil
good. The
Gaiman?
book, Neil Gaiman. Yeah,
Stevenson or Gaiman?
Gaiman.
Gaiman,
British
yeah.
as opposed to American.
Mm.
Yeah, it is phenomenal. I really
Yeah.
really thought the acting was good. I don't think it's as good as the book, but that's kind of standard stuff.
Yeah.
It definitely has some departures here and there, but I thought the
Yeah.
material was handled very well. On top of which the acting is really good, and there's a bunch of different characters and stuff like that. But yeah, if you're on Stars, American Gods, highly recommend. And then what was the other one that you had in here?
Black Sails and Outlander.
Outlander, I still haven't
Woods.
seen. I thought there was one
Oh.
more. Black
I didn't
Sails.
really get into like White Queen and
I saw that in here. Yeah.
Spanish Queen or any of those. Yeah. Tutors.
I swear American Gods. Maybe this is different in Canada, but I thought I watched it on Prime. Actually, I wonder how they do the like license kind of stuff. That might be.
Yeah, it's like I mentioned Halo. I mean, Halo was on Paramount Plus, but they had it for a while on Prime, for the previous season. And like Outlander actually is Outlander's season 1 through 6 is on Amazon Prime.
Okay, do you know Video Game Donkey?
Only on.
Have you heard about Video Game Donkey? Do you know who this is? Okay, Video Game Donkey has a guide to streaming, which is going to be my recommendation. This is what I land on, and it's that. It's like, okay, so listen, on Disney, you can watch movies 1, 2, and 3, but then like when you go to the 4th one in the series, you have to go to Netflix, and then you're over to Prime to watch the series, and then there was a mini series that's just on Stars, and then there's one other one that's just on Hulu, and then like there's a little bit of a YouTube teaser over here that you gotta watch, but like to get the complete seasons for some of these is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
He starts off. It's like Blue's Clues or something. He's trying to watch. He's like, but to answer your question, to watch this one, what you got? It's like on a print. Like there's stuff that you don't own anything anymore, and to get any of the stuff and the death of physical media, I think is going to be. It's worse than cable bundling. I think is the conclusion here.
Yeah.
It's like that we're far past cable bundling at this point in time, and owning a movie that you can watch multiple times. Like if you have children or something like that, it's not a given. It might disappear from Disney Plus next week, and they'll bring it back as a limited time exclusive next year kind of thing. Like it's a mess. It's a mess. Anyway, Video Game Donkey Guide to Streaming. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I can't think of it. I mean that's the one, and then I'm waiting for that 4th Axis stabilizer still with U.S. Postal Service. It's been 10 days, still waiting for it to come from Virginia.
One other thing I've been playing around with a lot, which is boot from USB. Have you ever run Linux from a USB key before? Do you know why?
It's been a while.
It's not a good idea. We'll start there. I'll see if I can find it here. But basically, there's these Samsung drives. I want to say they're called Champagne or something like that. But they're bars, actually, BAR. It's this tiny little drive. It's fully metal. They hit a sustained rate of 400 megabytes a second, which is pretty good. Not great for a hard drive. Surprisingly fine. I ran it for 3 days. Like Linux is pretty taxing on things like logs, journals, CTL, that kind of stuff. Not bad. What I also realized is that you can get like $15, $12 adapters from like Orico or whatever. You can slap a SATA drive into, which is what I ended up swapping to. But the Samsung bar drive I've had forever. I've run it in a ton of Raspberry Pis. If you can't find this one, the fit is pretty cheap too. These are like, as far as I can tell, bomb-proof USB flash drives, which is hard to say. And I think like the bar might be difficult to copy because it's physically metal. So I feel like getting like a fake Samsung bar might be harder because this thing is like a solid chunk of metal. It's bomb-proof. It's amazing.
Yeah.
But it's so fast, and I've used it like all over the world.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my recommendation. Like a good big USB drive for like recovery and stuff like that. Super handy.
Yeah, I had I spent a long time making a USB disk that had 15 distributions on it.
Yes, I love doing that.
Yeah. Like NetToy, I think it is, or something like that. It's Ventoy was the tool for, or I think that was one of the tools for being able to, pop up a menu and you choose which one you want, and then
Yeah,
it
yeah,
boots
yeah.
that system. And then there are some that actually have a display
Yep.
on the drive, so it'll boot to that device. And then most recently, I saw that I think it was like a Techno Tim video or Network Chuck or one of those YouTubers that showed doing the same thing but from a network.
That was
So
Network Chuck. Yes.
yeah, and that looked pretty
TFTP,
cool.
the service that's like never gonna die
Yeah,
somehow. So
yeah,
DHCP, TFTP, and a boot drive. Yeah.
yeah.
I use Sardu, which I think
Hmm.
might be like $30. Sardu is like a deep cut. Sardu is
Mm,
Italian software, SARDU, primarily Windows focused in terms of like setting up and stuff like that,
mhm,
but has a lot of great Linux support for like
mm,
Linux recovery CDs and things like that. Most people start off with System Rescue CD, which is honestly a really
yeah,
good way to like to mount a root and like repair a system. This is on
mhm,
there, but there's a whole bunch of other like PE pre-execution
mm,
environment stuff that are on here, including ways to make your own WAIK stuff. And I think because that's Windows automation and instrumentation kit, but basically ways to customize Windows to be your own.
mm,
I used to do this for like fleets of desktops and servers and
right,
stuff like that. And I feel like this is something I'm just holding on to that I really don't need
right,
to do anymore. But I do buy this, and basically what I use is essentially a rescue disk, and I'll pop around with
yeah,
that same USB key and boot up the things I need.
yeah,
But generally, we kind of talked to this about this in the pre-show, but I've settled on Pop! OS as kind of the operating
mm,
system that I use, which
yeah,
I can't really recommend it to many people unless you know that you've got like an NVIDIA GPU and
mm,
you're okay with Debian or Ubuntu. Like it's an
mhm,
opinionated Debian release that has the
yeah,
nice stuff of Ubuntu. Like it doesn't have
yeah,
Snap. It's got Flatcar or Flatpak, sorry, just
yeah,
as an example. That might not be
right.
the thing that you like. And it doesn't use like the net planner and things like
Wait, do
that. So
people like Snap?
I freaking hope not, because
I
I
hate it.
really, really, really dislike it.
Yeah,
System D,
yeah,
I'm still not a fan of. Snap D, like absolute no, just no. Yeah, Neil's the same. Yeah,
yeah,
like I don't even really like Flatpak, but at least there it's okay. Yes,
mhm,
Snap is awesome, awful. I totally
yeah,
agree. Like that's the biggest thing. System D, like again, not a big fan. Ubuntu uses all of System D and all of the cool stuff.
right, right,
I wouldn't go that far. I feel like Pop has just the right amount, so you don't have to
yeah,
like go through that whole network wizard plan thing.
yeah.
It's not there. Just
Yeah,
get
and their hardware too. I mean, System 76. I mean, it's
yes,
good looking stuff.
yes.
Yeah,
And eventually I'll get
I
a
went.
Thule or a laptop, but like yeah, at this point in time, the keyboard is probably my next purchase. Honestly, I just want to support them, even if I don't use them
Yeah, I've only seen one, like
in
in
the
the
wild.
wild.
Yeah.
I went to the CIVO conference in
Oh, nice.
Tampa,
Yeah.
and somebody there had the System 76 machine, and they said, is their third or fourth laptop from them
Awesome.
over, a decade or so.
Yeah.
And he loves them. Um, but yeah, Pop! OS is one that I've used quite a bit. Quite a bit. I mean,
And a lot of people will say,
uh,
"Hey, it's just a Eurocom notebook," and I used to
yeah.
sell Eurocoms. They're great notebooks, honestly, like white label
Mhm,
notebooks. But I will say it's a little bit more than that when they're writing
mhm,
actual firmware for the laptop
yeah.
in open
Yeah.
firmware and supporting the entire open firmware
Yeah.
ecosystem for other people. I feel like that's a bit of a differentiator.
Yeah.
Like just saying, "Oh, it's just a Eurocom, you can do this yourself," kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's a bit more than that. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty cool. And I agree. When you've
Have
got
you
an
seen the
operating system, yep. Go ahead.
Have you seen like the was it Framework laptops?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yes.
haven't actually seen one. I don't know if
I've not in
you've.
person either.
Yeah.
No, I'd love to. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. Like, I think
Yeah.
as much as I'm not a fan of IBM as a company, I feel like
Mhm.
that ThinkPad that they had, the
Yeah.
T400, 500
Yeah.
sort of series, like, I feel like that's where we should be going with laptops, where Apple's kind of
Mhm.
going the other way. Like, let's make it as small and as thin as possible. But
Yep.
unfortunately, that means that a lot of stuff's glued on. Whereas IBM was
Yep.
like, let's make this thing as
Mhm.
I don't know, resilient as possible. Maybe it's the right word. We're going back to DevOps analogies, but those IBM ThinkPads will last for years, and I feel like the
Yeah.
framework
Yeah.
design seems to have like kind of taken that little bit chunky kind of design, but at
Right.
the being able to replace those parts and have a
Yeah.
laptop that you hold on for like 5 6 years is
Mhm.
saying something, because that person telling you that they've had 3 laptops in 10 years, that means they're happy
Yeah.
with the laptops, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
I hope
But that
the
said, I
printer
mean,
stays like this.
I've got 2 MacBook Pros that
Right.
are 2014, I think, and they're still working
Okay,
well.
that's 2015. Yep.
This not this one, but there I've got a Mac Mini over there that's a 2011, and that's working great. It's not running Mac OS anymore. It's running, I think Proxmox.
Oh, interesting. Ah, I
Yeah,
like that.
and it works
But
great.
the battery, I think, is what kills me in the older Mac
Mm,
laptops.
yeah,
Have you had
yeah.
to replace the old batteries yet? They're pretty expensive,
No,
like 500
no.
bucks sometimes. Okay.
Yeah, so it stays powered on. It stays with the plug.
Yeah, I've had bad luck. I almost want to like remove the battery like
Mhm.
from some of the older laptops and yeah, just keep them plugged in,
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, we've determined
Alright.
Snap is awful. Backblaze
Yep,
is what you want, and yeah,
yep.
cruises. It's just vacation.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm hoping that my little thing from Scotty Makes Stuff, shows up,
Can't
soon.
wait. Yeah,
Um,
next week we can go for a walk.
mm, yeah, yeah,
We'll live stream
and, I
outside.
can't think of anything else that's been, acquired.
I
I told you
I
about
think we're good.
the binaural, mics.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Yeah. I think we're good with
that's it.
Outlander, man. I didn't
Yeah,
know about it.
yeah, Outlander's amazing.
Let's do it. All right, sir.
Okay.
Shall we
Alrighty.
find the button?
I'll find the end stream button.
Just rambling.